Hey guys, and welcome to another recorded review. Uh, Um, I'm not actually sure how long these or reviews are going to I'm going to continue on the channel as basically raw or just become um, has just become content filler for Netflix. But because since the show has moved over, you've only really had a couple of uh, of of standing shows about standing shows, yeah, so um, and last night's show proved to me that the main roster of shows at the moment are running out of steam, and the only thing that's holding WWE up right now is NXT, because NXT is probably the best and out that WWE produced. But in terms of the show, wasn't really anything to write home about. Um, obviously, obviously the first couple of, s- obviously the first couple of segments I thought were pretty so all it CM Punk and Sami Zayn's segment to kick off the show. We'll get into it in a bit more detail in a sec. But um, anyway, apart from the Stephanie Liv Morgan and Ivy Nile qualifier, um, there was nothing really too much of interest. Obviously, now we will get into a more detailed analysis now. So we start off with Pat McAfee and Michael go on over the stipulations for the on the NBA finals. Obviously, Cole lost to the as a big New York Knicks fan. He was back in the Mets, and Pat McAfee is an Indiana Pacers guy. Now, I'm not really that much into basketball anymore. I dabbled in a bit of it when I was younger, so I don't really know the specifics of the teams, but um, but by my reckoning, the Pacers were on a very close game. Sorry to any basketball aficionados that might come across the video, but to start us off, um, to go through the specifics of the bet, and since Cole lost the bet, he had to wear an India and a Pacers jersey, which he wore throughout the course of the evening. But out comes CM Punk, and CM Punk CM Punk got a promo, and he says that this is a summer of punk. So by I reckon, so by my reckon, and that there's been 4 summers of punk. There's been the Ring of Honor Summer of Punk, as some of these know, or the 2011 Summer of Punk that everybody knows about. The 80 Summer of Punk, the Summer of Punk, um, mo- and on, and now obviously that's on. So anyway, CM Punk years it's the Summer of Punk, and he goes on about the two champions that will be challenging if he's successful about winning money in the bank. Which will come to in the main event, but anyway, guys, Punk breaks down the two champions. Says, he says directly to the camera if it's Jay that and if I'm successful in the ladder armor match. It's nothing personal, it's just business. And then he turns his attention to the WWE title and John Cena. And obviously, and obviously he says it's very personal when he's going to enjoy picking the bones, um, picking the bones from that title match at a little bit. And obviously he says I've had a journal on for the majority of our rivalry. And if you didn't know, that's probably the most famous rivalry of the 20 ends. But in any case, out comes Sami Zayn, and Sami Zayn responds with, "I hope you, uh, I hope you win the, I hope you win them on in the bank ladder match, but you need to focus on the match tonight. He says you need to win the match, or potentially it's going to become a very a very difficult environment for the both of us to navigate through. Well, if Rollins as a champion, CM Punk then responds with Seth Rollins has never beaten me. Now there's two problems with this line of dialogue here, and I hate being nitpicky in a CM Punk promo because he's one of the best um, promos in the company. Um, but this was a kind of shitty line of dialogue practically because Rollins has beaten um Ice in the past couple of months, and the steel cage match on the a few months ago on, on the steel cage match on the a few months ago. Obviously he had a bit of help from obviously Roman Reigns interfered after Roll and jumped out the door basically. That was the first defeat, and the second defeat was obviously in the triple threat. Now he wasn't the one that ate the pin. It was Roman Reigns that ate the pin, but it still technically counts as a defeat because he didn't walk away as champion. But obviously, Sami Zayn says Obviously Lisa Amazing says, or get MJ Uso, um, or get John Cena, and or get and or get or Owens Breaker and Bronson Reed, or me and Jay take either Eden Breaker tonight. Obviously, CM Punk says I've got your back, but Sammy's in there. I, I, you don't need to have her back. You'll take care of business tonight. You just okay, son, in the match. So the segment, so the segment ends with if you do, and money in the bank and successfully, you can and I'm coming for you because I have also been world heavyweight champion, as well, and obviously I think on the nation, will have to kind of take place. Um, so the segment kind of ends here. In the back, obviously, you see all of Morgan and Raquel kind of reaching out for them. Obviously, there's a bit of conflict with Evan Roxa and Perez over us. Over last 2 weeks, interference, obviously, of actually, he says to Roxanne Perez, obviously, have says Roxanne Perez is the best, it cannot be any more interference in Mama. She's otherwise otherwise there's going to be serious problems, and me and Kill both have my cheese tonight, but obviously she like then Eves the to go and into Yuska. I she says that she says as well Yuska once I qualify for the on in the bank match, and obviously he will in the briefcase. I'm gonna cash in the title. And then she says I'll watch me catch phrased as the evil cackle. As I'm obviously I'm obviously partial to have my organ, but we'll get to the match, and I'm in it because I'm obviously a big Stephanie Vaquer fan as well, because she's been killing it on NXT. So we basically get a Stephanie Vaquer, um, so we ba- so we basically a Stephanie Vaquer hype pack. Just some of her best matches. Now, the majority of what she says is underneath of them all, and each chill in so he speaks Spanish, so like yeah, half of the hype he just in Spanish, so yeah, um, obviously, obviously you get killer whips of them matches and then it's he hyping the fact that she's not signed with him or I'm hyping the fact she's signed to him or so she comes out to our fantastic World One him because that's who us her theme. It's not a Def Rebel theme. It's actually a proper band that us hers. It shall um it will um heighten our presentation up a bit. And obviously as well, Ivan Neil was also in some match, so everybody is out and the thing, and I have to actually say this match is obviously the best match of the night, and I mean, so. And then so it starts off pretty high up and Stephanie Vaquer hits a ox body in a sunset film on the aisle and is broken up by a kind of a kick from in organ and the um, um, organ hats a few uh, um organ hats a few theory he was throughout the match he's throughout the match sorry Stephanie Vaquer and hits on Evil's his head as a head says a head says a signature, but is obviously he stood up by a old basement channel up kicked by Morgan. Is that obviously he gets a few oohs he are on in the match. Ivan he hits a couple a German super X's obviously if air um hits a few hits a few hard and good moves as held and Organ comes back in um and hits the and hits the vein a niche obviously obviously that's but or obviously the others were broken up by Ivan Isle who horses Morgan on the outside to the steel steps area, if he hits a a breaker and Io gets the recount, and actually was the best match of the night. Now I'm gonna give this match three stars out of five. If I was to go any higher, that would be a bit absurd because it's not a pay-per-view match, and you can't rate paper matches and televised matches in the same in the same sort of standard, but it was solid enough. So three stars for that match. I enjoyed it for what it was. Obviously in the back, obviously in the back, you have obviously in the back you have a conversation with AJ Styles and the legendary Paul Heyman in basically she's AJ Styles a happy birthday. Um, and obviously, AJ doesn't trust Heyman as far as he can throw one. That's it, but that's pretty much a shoot as well, because if you remember when Gallows and Anderson are fired in the first um, 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 are fired in the first L, um, Heyman is kind of instrumental in that, and I think backstage it's kind of still harboured a bit. Um, but it's interesting that still that they're still able to that they're still able to put the RM so like on each other to the so the just like for on each other to the one side, and actually you have a segment and him in the and also says it might not be the best idea to go after them on in the bank, but his case you should be more focused on the Intercontinental Championship because the Dominic Mysterio because Dominic Mysterio is making a mockery um of that prestigious belt. And AJ Styles says that sounds like a funny, eh? And that sounds like a funny, And I know I know what, for all in, eras, so you can actually tell all in yourself all seems on do it and I've got the money in the bank, but if it's in my in my hand by the end of the night, obviously. Obviously as well, with obviously both of good or separate is and AJ Styles, so same in the show. Also, the next match is obviously so then so then next match is obviously after the ad, but are they eight but um but obviously we get a Chad able promo of us, and he says my new favourite luchador or El Grande Americano's going to qualify for the men's Money in the Bank match. Obviously, 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 you tried to able turns out to be offer as obviously that's the case. But we'll get to that in a minute. Um, in a while, but essentially, what this promo was is him healing on the Oklahoma road a bit, and obviously hawking up Grand Americano. So that takes in the first ad break of the night. So then we get the hype. Ejiro Usev and he talks about destroying Zalba and about how Sheamus looked disappointed and ashamed of him. He said to him, "Here are you and I was in the abyss. I'm trying to pull wrestle. I was out there, but I said make them be or so outside here you how here you come and stab me in the back again like you did before. I'm gonna put you in the most devastating hold and wrestling to the Achilles and I'm gonna break you her back before or you stab me in the back again. And obviously Seamus is in the back and he's obviously asked by Kathy Kelly what his comments are. Seamus actually details the history a bit more between who guys and he actually asks and then and he says sorry he was a groomsman he's heading obviously obviously he then actually says that he were in the organizations to um on and he's on my closest friends but friends or he's still will in everybody and will he will is after the interview it then goes over to check into the owl I am after last week and he says of Zalma and Maxine show heart basically, and he says that Natalia and Maxine the three should be going after the tag championships. Obviously, obviously, he sees potential in all three. So the segment just ends. Yeah, then you get the match of and get the match of Judgement versus versus Eric and Ivar the already also now that this has been an eventful week for both sides because Eric and Ivar have obviously lost without how because Sarah Logan's just had another child and as usual they all have been absolute scumbags and they've let Sarah Logan would have not renewed her contract. You've obviously he had Carly who has a couple of weeks left on his contract. He's not actually going to be put on. He's not actually going to be put back on EV, but but his contract is his contract's still valid on the next couple of weeks, but he's also getting was in his contract that says he can go on up for the World Wrestling Council in Puerto Rico, which is his father, Carlos owns promotion, but but yeah, and he's also the heavyweight champion over here, by virtue of last week, but the footage is not available on YouTube. I don't think W I don't think that W WC allow any footage of of any footage to foreign countries. So and I'm hard here, but um he's already champion, and I would just actually like to say I enjoyed him Carlito was more on in the company, not many people at 46 years of age can say that they've had a 2 year on a second or a second run back in the company. Now I know he's appeared a couple of times on like Royal Rumbles and what have you, but not but that is a cameo. But was a proper this was a proper run. It started off in the LWO and then and then he sided with the Judgement and became the sort and became the sort of comedy for Judgement. He became sort of a heel, sort of R-Truth type character. or because they were both often similar roles. He obviously took a couple of awesome years off, but on break. Or now, but he or had that I call unexperienced or an And obviously, and obviously, he had that equally as impressive speed at WrestleMania. Yeah, he absolutely destroyed Curly. Oh, the reason how I found out is because he posted at the same is our truth. So yeah, it's a bit disappointing, but I enjoyed Carlitos there on the pop he got at Vaquer Ash with the equivalent to an attitude era style public, and he mountain San and at Vaquer Ash 2022 to the original Caribbean Rules him. But anyway, that's match between Judgment Day and the already there's not often much happened apart from the Ox and Perez and of the earnings that gave Judgment Day the victory. Obviously, it's nice to see Finn Balor actually get a pinfall victory for changes usually usually hearing up at the ceiling he's seen Orca Anderson pub well Orca Asshole in the past sort of 5 years in the company um but obviously um but obviously it kind of sets up the more sort of engine of the judgment. He obviously obviously and bow on his up obviously if and bow on his absolutely do a eat by the Oxan's assist and yeah carries on it carries on that story that's what he's probably in the high heights are right now. But obviously he will get it to obviously we'll get it to what happens next and obviously backstage is um, um, obviously backstage Stephanie obviously as well Stephanie Vaquer is obviously in the back chat um is in the back chatting to Kathy uh, about her kill qualification for the Money in the Bank ladder she accidentally he says that she's going to WrestleMania and obviously she then Alexa self and then says and then the anxious as she go only retrieve the brief case and before or she can continue there he says definitely by air I'll see you on in the money in the bank so the two sort of shake hands and they tease a sort of feud. And that will be happening in the next couple of months because the two of them are positioned as two of the top stars at the minute. They have a lot of faith in Stephanie because she's appeared on the Raw the past couple of weeks before being exclusively brought up. I know this only the other Bone is one of the top talents and has been positioned as so the past 30 years. Obviously that's a is for the future and in the back door the judgment the session continues MO of Morgan says about come or center ox and her head out here you can be sat on I'll be out there for a girl and obviously um obviously as soon as the two would is more even if Dom and they can actually he says he okay and he says to yeah I'm okay yeah we're okay then apologizes for the chair shot and he says don't worry about it more or I'll uh, so on a coverage or the get the RC's Kyrie saying now Kyrie saying that doesn't get much of a action even though she's very good. It's just she's not been positioned very well since the damage control was kind of severed because of the injury asked asked her and obviously um asked and obviously the off of the I but they've kept her around Yosk to kind of assist Heidi but obviously without Yosk she would be kind of lost in the shuffle so that's why the two of them have kind of stayed to because she's not over enough. So like obviously this match was again in angle is obviously he again obviously he's around the crowd to um hot for this match obviously he obviously Io Sky comes out assistant highly as well of Morgan sets up a distraction so if it's to and now it'll it's take a highly saying go on up top for the insane elbow she gets the victory. And yeah, I do enjoy Kyrie, but I just don't actually see she fits in right now because obviously they've got either the area as IC champ for the I mean, but you've also um you've also got Becky Inch as the direct challenger. So speaking of Becky Inch, she has a hype promo backstage when she's saying all either would been often found me I gave her her biggest moment she beat me for the NXT championship without me she wouldn't have got a WrestleMania moment and without me she wouldn't have had one of her greatest victories so far in the company back Ash uh, and and ultimately or the and either or is in my hand and victory so so you get the usual stand of response promo from a baby face so out comes on either she calls Becky and I will to Becky and she and comes out in the response and then and comes out and the response oh either oh, aimed that she was a lot either and actually says that Becky hurt her more than anybody else had taught her Becky he said what hurt most dismal and Yuri is my hand in victory. Obviously as well the barrel for or a bit and that centre the segment. Criticism isn't all either here. It's about the a home out. I mean the chant was over 20 years ago, and she's kind of a young performer. She's a year younger than me, right? Um, but yeah, I did wrestling and that. But she's still very early. She's still very early in her your path, and you guys want to just or recycle a chant that has been over on for the past 20 years and they are species by chanting them but chanting them or and I mean like it was funny at first and Stone Cold brought it back in 2022 because we hadn't heard it. Another one, but I mean, come on, it's over on, and you can kind of see it's distracting the performers now. Of course, you're going to freedom of speech, freedom of speech. Of course, you've got the right to express yourself, but there's a difference between the right to express yourself and the right to be in an an asshole, don't let even go to comedy or like the hydro and harass a comedian you don't like. Which, well, it's kind of the same here. She's trying to make a bit of money in the business, and I never knew, I never knew, already, so, oh, that's, to get very high potential, but she's still, on the journey into becoming, the next big, star, basically. Yeah, and you, Orons just want to distract her every chance they get. So yeah, that's my only criticism of the promo alone. Um, yep, eh, yep, eh, oh, iron, uh, the area, or um, or continuing to bash one Runa Isan Onsens and the back American made and the new can continue to wobble over the tag in championships, which is nice. Or it's actually a challenging and then if if or a shot at the tag championships with get partner Kiffy and Michael all kind of breaking down the article eight paper of the card. They also on their attention to the money in the bank matches, obviously, in the women's match was obviously he filled out with he or on and then the April of Stephanie's Emma of Stephanie is qualification obviously um obviously well, it's not out aim for the men's money in the bank ladder match, but before we get into that, before we get into that, Aaron Kirk actually he says to Sami Zayn, and this is the only appearance Karen Cross ever gets as a backstage as a backstage segment mm, as a backstage segments and how and to be honest it's a shame but Aaron Cross says Sammy, I know in your heart you're a bad guy. You might you might not think you might not think yeah, but I know you are, and Sammy Hussein says, I do you keep following me about, and then Karen is, I'm here to help you out and really realize your instinct, and obviously, um, Sammy is, and says again, you'll, if you wait So at some point as well, you'll get the Karen Cross and Sami Zayn feud to be predictable. Eh, for the unfortunate reason, Karen Cross it looks like will be staring up at the CEO, and because every feud Karen Cross is inside till he'll Rosie's so much for being a Triple H I he's beginning to slowly lose control in the main Raw and the main shows um and so then we get to the final match of the evening you get you get to the you get uh, to El Gran Americano you get uh, you get no uh watched so sorry there's a match before this it's Sami in versus Sami Zayn and Jey Uso versus Braun Break or um Bronson Reed and obviously at this point obviously uh, at this point this match again is I'm will be east and obviously there was a qualification finish and um and himself only and to get himself gets his get his get his able mates disqualified and eventually it leads to several Holland up stomping and up stomping and a hell out of the out Sammy out of jails. So I'm stomping in the hell and then and then several Holland on breaking and on and Reed began to feast on armies in but on Ronson Reed tsunami ash but in comes Ian Punk basically put a stop to that he chucks Aaron Brown break he's in obviously he hits he then obviously hits Bronson Reed and yeah that's what makes us say if an obviously in event I'm how as El Grande Americano advances into the on in the bank one or match as obviously a humans or rip or CM Punk the chance to advance into the money in the bank one or matches ages I used gets um as as El Gran Andy and Icano get pinned. This match was only maybe half a star because like the countless interference is obviously is L. I have to take a point off um El Gran being um um in the lad match with Aron and such. Eh, the Grande Harry or a Chad able eh, should be on them or it's kill. Them show not the Rickies or Chad able fighting and like and all because our grand is a parody about the Mexican one, which had also what would make more sense to have Elgin and the Americano on the original. I am sure. So it just actually as the case is that the men's on in the bank ladder and the match will be further down in the card. Um, a patient because it'll give a Chad Abel will be doing the opposite. He's same if I'm Stephanie Vaquer, cause she'll be in the women's I can match. Um, so she'll be in the women's tag match on the or it's kill. I sure overall, guys, I don't think this one is the best. I'm sure I'll give this a 3 out of 10. To be honest, um, W- WWE are starting to really lose some momentum um, and starting to really annoy me with them in shows. I'm preferring NXT right now, so I don't know if I'm going to continue with the or if you would like me to switch up and cover NXT give me a shout in the comments or would you rather me continue dissect in more at the minute because right now the main shows aren't really on form especially the SmackDown that's I had dropped the full SmackDown videos and the only if and that's and the only couple of things that's excite me are the Stephanie on the Stephanie Vaquer segment and obviously the Judgement segment other than that get other than that get other than that guys not sure if there's anything more to be said about the in shows like that. Mm, I think we'll go on through a July on the in shows. and this has been a problem ever since the Netflix era began. It's been a bit hit and miss, and unfortunately, the past couple of weeks has been a dry spell. So, yeah, it may know about the whole or the view situation, or do you think I should just over the next year until the order until the main shows get on a better stand. And but yeah, it's not a very good show apart from the judgment segments and the Stephanie match and this is so 3 out of a possible, and I'll see you all in the next video, and sorry it couldn't be a bit more positive. Um, just to be honest, just to be honest, I think NXT is the best show out the 3 shows. So yeah, I'll be interested to see what you think in the comments section. Hit like and subscribe, and I'll chat very soon.